Madam Speaker, today is an important day in that we are going to hear the anticipated progress report, so-called, by General Petraeus, who will be testifying in a short while before the Armed Services and Foreign Affairs Committee of the House of Representatives. And the case that's going to be made is that there has been just enough progress to warrant staying the course in Iraq. Well, on August 6th, I was in Iraq, and what I learned from that visit that day was that, in fact, that the President's surge has failed and that there is no end in sight for the war in Iraq. I learned that first by talking with the Deputy Prime Minister of Iraq that day, who said that the night before, the Alawi, former Prime Minister Ayad Alawi, had pulled his people out of the parliament, and the week before the Sunnis had left, and then what was remaining of the parliament was on vacation, and he said that there wasn't going to be any political settlement by this September, nor would there be by next September, and he didn't say which September. The point of that is, the reason for the surge was promoted by the President and by General Petraeus as creating the space for political settlements in Iraq, which have not only not happened, but we've even seen steps backwards. But what's really important today is that people examine the so-called evidence that the progress has been made. And that's why I brought a few charts here. The first one says, is there really less violence in Iraq? Let's look at what is counted, but even more importantly, what isn't counted. In the evidence that progress has been made, not counted includes Shiite on Shiite violence, which is happening in the south in the Basra area, Sunni on Sunni violence, car bombings aren't counted, and get this one, this isn't a joke. People shot in the front of the head are not counted. People shot in the back of the head are counted. I thought at first that that was just an exaggerated joke. It's true. And finally, the large-scale bombing, like the one that killed 500 ethnic Yazidis in August, is not counted. So clearly, these numbers are very clearly cherry-picked. And then, if you look at a fact that is important to many Americans, every month in 2007, including the months of the surge, has seen more U.S. military casualties than the same month in 2006. In other words, more and more of our young men are dying. And while the Parliament was on vacation, as some commentators said, because, well, after all, it's so hot, about 120 degrees, our young men and women were fighting and dying in their body armor and helmets and heavy packs and weapons out in that 120-degree heat, dying at numbers greater than ever. And of course, not included in those numbers has been not only the number of U.S. troops that have died, but the dollars that have been spent. These are the dollars that we know about right now. Per year, not overall in the war, but per year, $120 million, per month, 10 million, actually I've heard 12 million is the new number, per day, 2 million, no, per week, over 2 million, per day, 329,000 per hour. We're doing this for an hour right now, almost $14 million an hour, and over $228,000, almost $229,000 a minute is being spent in Iraq. And yet, the political reconciliation, which was the goal of expanding the numbers of troops that we have in Iraq, has not achieved that it's actually gone backwards. And so right now, I think what we're seeing is a dog and pony show. And the good news is that a lot people, unlike the lead up to the war in the first place, aren't buying it. The front page of USA Today, record 60% of Americans seek a date for a pullout. Public wary of report on Iraq, polls show. And there have been many other reports. The Jones report that says it's not working.
Gentleman's time has expired.
Check the information and be skeptical about the progress. Let's get out of Iraq.